Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. Iranian rights groups say the authorities have committed a mass killing in cracking down on the biggest protest against the Islamic Republic in years. This as the government ordered counter rallies in a bid to regain the initiative. US-based human rights activist agency said at least 544 people have been killed. Even more are feared dead. The protests, initially sparked by anger over the rising cost of living, have evolved into a movement against the theocratic system in Iran. Protests have swelled in recent days despite an internet blackout that Monitor NetBlock says has lasted more than 72 hours. After toppling Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, US President Donald Trump has threatened Cuba, asking Cuba to make a deal soon. He pledged to cut off all oil and money flowing into the island nation from Venezuela. Taking to his Truth Social, Trump said that for many years Cuba lived on large amounts of oil and money from Venezuela, and in return Cuba provided security services for the last two Venezuelan dictators, and that he will no longer allow it. He further suggested Cuba to make a deal before it is too late. Trump, however, provided no details about what the potential deal he referred to or what such an arrangement would achieve. Nicolas Maduro is living in captivity in the United States, but his loyalist civilian armed groups Colectivos remains active in Venezuela. Colectivos have intensified their activities on the streets of Caracas. They are setting up roadblocks across the city, marking various entry points. Armed men on motorcycles say they are ready to defend Venezuela and to fight off any aggression. The group has so far pledged loyalty to interim President Delcy Rodriguez. It believes that Maduro was betrayed by his close allies. Venezuela's Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello holds significant influence over the group. The Trump administration has announced it will send hundreds of additional federal agents to Minneapolis, expanding the already significant law enforcement presence in the city. This decision comes as Minneapolis remains tense in the wake of the fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE officer, an incident that has sparked massive protests. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that the extra officers are being dispatched this weekend to help ensure that immigration agents operating in the city can carry out their duties safely. Noem issued a stark warning to demonstrators, saying those who engage in violence or attempt to disrupt law enforcement operations will face criminal consequences. Israel says it has struck Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon following an evacuation warning for the village of Kafrata. Lebanon's official news agency reports more than 10 strikes caused significant damage to local buildings. The attacks come days after the Lebanese army said it completed the first phase of a plan to disarm Hezbollah south of the Litani River, which is around 30 kilometers from the Israeli border. Families from one of the last Palestinian Bedouin villages between Ramallah and Jericho are fleeing their homes, citing harassment by nearby unauthorized Jewish settler outposts. Ras Ain al-Oja, home to around 130 families, has already seen 26 families leave last Thursday. This according to rights groups. Several more families say they plan to leave as conditions become increasingly unbearable, leaving the future of the historic village uncertain. Ukraine's military has claimed to have carried out strikes on 3 Russian oil drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea. The Ukrainian military said the sites were being used to support Russian occupying forces. It has been confirmed that direct hits were achieved. An assessment of the damage is currently underway. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has highlighted the scale of Russian losses on the battlefield. In a message posted on social media platform X, Zelensky claimed Russian forces have been losing at least 1,000 troops every day since December. He described the situation as irrational, saying Moscow is paying a heavy price simply to prolong the war. Zelensky added that ending the conflict would require coordinated action by Ukraine's partners, including Europe and the US. Russia continues to report territorial gains. TASS news agency, citing Russia's defense ministry, said Russian forces captured 6 settlements between December 31st and January 11th during the New Year period. Earlier, Russia Chief of the General Staff, General Valery Gerasimov, told President Vladimir Putin that Russian troops had taken control of 334 settlements over the past year. This amounts to more than 6,600 square kilometers of territory. Sudan's Prime Minister Kamil Idris has announced that the government is returning to Khartoum after nearly 3 years in the wartime capital, Port Sudan. Speaking in the capital, Idris said the government of hope aims to restore services, rebuild hospitals, improve education. Additionally, government aims to upgrade electricity, water and sanitization for citizens affected by the conflict between the army and rapid support forces. Benin held parliamentary and local elections on Sunday in a key test of political stability. This comes a month after authorities said they foiled an attempted coup. President Patrice Talon's allies are expected to maintain control of the 109-seat parliament as they look to strengthen their position ahead of April's presidential election. The main opposition party is running only in the legislative race. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's party has claimed that security forces used shelling to disperse supporters during a rally in Karachi. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has been calling for Khan's release. Authorities had approved a gathering at Bagh-e-Jinnah Park, but the party cited delays in receiving the permit and announced a last-minute shift to the Mazar-e-Qaid area. Despite this, supporters gathered at the venue where they reported police intervention. PTI leaders alleged shelling was used as police moved to break up crowds. Several media vehicles were vandalized after coverage was halted. A gas cylinder explosion tore through a home in Islamabad on Sunday, killing 8 people, including a newly married couple, and injuring more than a dozen others. Police say the blast happened while wedding guests and family members were asleep. The explosion, caused by a gas leak, collapsed the roof and blew out walls, trapping victims under debris. At least 12 were injured and taken to hospital. Authorities say a leaking LPG cylinder is the suspected cause. Thousands of supporters of Nepal's ousted royal family marched through the streets demanding the restoration of the monarchy ahead of the upcoming March elections. This marked the first pro-monarchy rally since September of last year, following Gen Z protests that led to the fall of KP Sharma Oli's government. Unlike last year's demonstration, which resulted in 2 deaths, this rally was largely peaceful. Indian Space Agency ISRO is all set for its first rocket launch mission of 2026. This morning, India's workhorse rocket, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III, is to perform a commercial launch, ferrying 16 satellites. This mission is being facilitated by New Space India Limited, the commercial arm of ISRO. The 16 satellites to be ferried belong to India, Europe, Brazil. The primary satellite of this mission is the EOS N1 or Anvesha. This is an Earth observation satellite built by India's Defence Research Development Organisation. This strategic use satellite is to be placed 500 kilometers above the Earth. In India, Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan has earned for himself a unique honour in the field of Japanese martial arts. The actor-politician has reportedly been formally inducted into the ancient art of Kenjutsu, the traditional discipline of Japanese swordsmanship. Kalyan has been awarded the 5th Dan, which is high mid-level black belt rank in Japanese and Korean martial arts. The award is said to be a rare global honour. North India continues to reel under cold, with the India Meteorological Department forecasting dense fog and severe cold wave conditions in isolated pockets of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, Punjab and Rajasthan. Night temperatures are hovering between 1 degree Celsius and 5 degrees Celsius in these regions. Asian markets opened higher on Monday, tracking record gains on Wall Street. This comes after a strong US jobs report which showed a drop in unemployment, signaling continued labor market resilience. Investors are also watching oil prices closely as unrest in Iran enters a third week. Adding to uncertainty, US President Donald Trump is reportedly weighing intervention options. Australia's ASX 200 edged higher, while South Korea's Kospi jumped over 1%. Hong Kong and China markets were flat, while Japan remained closed amid fresh election speculation. Oil prices were mostly steady on Monday as markets weighed rising geopolitical risk against potential new supply. Brent crude hovered near $63 a barrel, while US crude held just above $59 after both logged their biggest weekly gains since October. Investors are watching Iran closely as protests intensify. Analysts warn unrest could threaten up to 1.9 million barrels per day, especially if oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz are disrupted. President Donald Trump is expected to meet advisors this week to discuss options on Iran capping gains. Venezuela is preparing to resume oil exports after political upheaval, with up to 50 million barrels expected to be shipped to the US soon. Spot gold surged more than 1% on Monday, climbing to a fresh all-time high of $4,563 an ounce, marking its first record peak of 2026. The rally was driven by strong safe haven demand as geopolitical risks remain elevated and investors react to a weaker than expected US jobs report released on Friday. That data has strengthened expectations that the Federal Reserve could begin cutting interest rates sooner than anticipated. Lower rate prospects typically boost gold's appeal as the metal offers no yield. With uncertainty lingering across global markets, investors are continuing to shift toward gold as a hedge against economic and political risk. The US dollar pulled back on Monday after reports that US prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. intensifying tensions between the Fed and the Trump administration. The dollar index slipped about 0.3%, snapping a 5-day winning streak. Analysts say the public clash between the White House and the Fed is weighing on confidence in the greenback. The dollar weakened against most major currencies, including the euro, yen, pound, and yuan. Markets are now looking ahead to US inflation data this week and the Fed's policy meeting later this month for further direction. According to US Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates will soon join a US-led initiative to secure AI and semiconductor supply chains. The program, called Pax Silica, aims to safeguard the full technology supply chain, including critical minerals, advanced manufacturing, computing, and data infrastructure. The move is significant given the Middle East's political divisions and reflects a US-led effort to bring Israel and Gulf states into a shared technology-focused economic framework. According to Reuters, India is proposing new smartphone security requirements for global phone makers, including Apple and Samsung. The proposals have sparked opposition from tech companies over concerns around corporate secrecy and user privacy. Under the proposed rules, manufacturers would be required to test and disclose proprietary source code to government-designated labs. The aim is to identify potential vulnerabilities in phone operating systems that could be exploited by attackers. Alphabet-owned drone delivery firm WION is expanding its partnership with Walmart for the second time in less than a year. The companies say on-demand drone delivery will be rolled out to an additional 150 Walmart stores. The expansion builds on existing services in Dallas-Fort Worth and Atlanta and will roll out throughout this year and into 2027. Virat Kohli led India to a 4-wicket victory over New Zealand in the first ODI. Put into bat first, the visitors posted 300 for 8, with Daryl Mitchell top scoring with 84. India's chase got off to a shaky start when opener Rohit Sharma fell for 26. Kohli and Shubman Gill then steadied the innings. Kohli anchored the chase with a superb 93, hitting 8 boundaries and a 6. With his 77th ODI 50, Kohli overtook Sri Lanka's Kumar Sangakkara to become the second highest run scorer in international cricket across all formats. India now lead the 3-match series 1-0. In football, Barcelona edged past Real Madrid in a 5-goal thriller to win back-to-back Spanish Super Cups in Jeddah. The match was a rematch of last year's final between the two rivals. Rafinha opened the scoring for Barcelona in the 36th minute. First half stoppage time produced high drama with 3 quick-fire goals, leaving the sides level at the break. Rafinha struck again in the 73rd minute to see the win for the Catalans. The win marked a 16th Spanish Super Cup triumph for Hansi Flick's side. The music world is in mourning following the death of Bob Weir, the rhythm guitarist, vocalist, and co-founder of the Grateful Dead. He died at the age of 78. According to a statement from his family, Weir died peacefully, surrounded by his loved ones after a courageous battle with cancer and subsequent lung issues. Fans across India and Nepal are reeling from the sudden death of singer and actor Prashant Tamang, who passed away on January 11th at the age of 43. The Indian Idol Season 3 winner and Patal Lok actor reportedly suffered a cardiac arrest at his residence in Delhi.